When you leave this earth and go wherever you believe you are going, what would your legacy look like? Would it be based on how much money you made throughout your lifetime? Or the amount of views you got on a single TikTok video? If you got married, had kids, so on? Truly take a second and think, what would your legacy look like? Welcome to my podcast, Chaotic Harmony. I am your host, Angie. The definition of a person's legacy is as follows: a reflection of their life's journey and the lasting impact they leave on the world. It's about more than just what they leave behind, but also how they lived and the values they embodied. Now, this topic has been on my mind a lot lately, especially after my husband Tony's cancer diagnosis. Well, that and the POA paperwork that we had to fill out for the just in case reasons. Now, actually, I didn't even know that we had to fill out that paperwork until the diagnosis. So it's all about my husband. He's the reason why I am thinking about all of this. But when you're filling those POA paperwork out, there's so many questions on there that it's like, what? Why do I have to think about this now? Like, who do we want to be with us in our last moment? What do we want to comfort us in our last moment? What is our message we want to send to our loved ones if we're not able to give it? Ugh. All of those questions sucked. All that paperwork sucked. It sucked being 40 years old and having to ask those questions. And then we had to fill out who was going to take care of us if we couldn't make those decisions. And we have 8 kids, so having to decide which one we're going to choose, like who's going to give us the best fate. Yeah, all of that made me truly honestly think, what on earth, have we done something right? And just so you know, if you live in Wisconsin and you are over the age of 18, get yourself some POA paperwork, honey, because if you don't, the state takes over and then your loved ones will have zero say in a lot of things. So get yourself, figure it out. It is difficult paperwork, but just get it done. That way you know you're in the right hands, or hope you are in the right hands. When we were filling those paperwork out, reality really truly hit me. Like, death can come at any time. I mean, I already knew that, but filling out those papers definitely made it more real, if that makes any sense. Like, did I truly do enough with my life to be worth remembering? And if so, what exactly would I be remembered for? That is a very hard question to answer. Well, let's see here. Angie Schultz. She graduated Pulaski High School with high honors while being pregnant. She worked until she couldn't. What else do they bring up in obituaries? Oh yeah, I had more children before marriage. Got married. Then got divorced, had my last baby, remarried to my now husband for almost 14 years. That's a good one. And I don't belong to any church. And at this moment in time, I have 2 incredibly adorable grandkids. And I'm sure I'm missing more, but you get the point. You get it. When I was younger, much younger, I spent a lot of time staying at my grandma and grandpa's house in Green Bay. The TV would be on one of the local news channels. In the morning, grandma would be having her coffee brewing up while she was scratching her lottery tickets off. Grandpa had already had his breakfast of champions made up, basically a glass of beer and a cracked egg in there, and topped with salt and pepper. I would warm up my frozen pancakes or waffles that were conveniently restocked by the Swans guy just for me. Grandma sat in her lazy boy reclining chair that was to the left of the living room. I claimed the chair to the right side of the living room. And Grandpa, he sat very comfortably on his couch that faced the bay window. We all had assigned spots. And actually, now that I kind of lay it out all like that, I was living a very old life before I even knew it. The same spot, the same breakfast. Yeah. Either way, like clockwork, a paper boy on a bicycle would appear in the bay window. "Paper's here," my grandma would announce in her lower toned voice. Well, actually, it was more like, "Paper's here." Grandpa would immediately get up from his spot as if it were a command. Now, let's be real, it really was a command. At times, he would get up and salute my grandma once he stood up, and then turn towards me and wink. Well, we all knew Grandma wore the pants in their relationship, so he was just making sure she knew it and felt it. Grandpa would then grab the daily newspaper from the front porch and go right back to his spot. Once he got his readers on, he would unfold the newspaper and flip through the pages until he found the obituary pages. It was kind of amusing watching him while he read. His facial expressions would tell us everything. I would ask him many times, like, why are you always reading the obituaries before anything else? And his response was, to see if I'm in here. And he would laugh, and I would laugh, and it was funny, like, ha ha ha, you're alive, why would you look at that? I was young. His answer to that question had changed as I got older, because I ask a lot of questions, and sometimes I forget if I asked it. So I'm pretty sure he heard me ask that a bazillion times. But the last time I truly asked him, I remember him laughing as he said, "Angie baby." By the way, that's where I actually got my nickname, Angie. He was the only person that called me that, and now I make sure that almost everybody I know calls me that, so I don't forget. He left a legacy. Anyway, he said, "Angie baby, I look to see if anyone I know died recently. And if they did, I try to guess who wrote the damn thing." That's kind of funny. He had explained to me that not one obituary he read in the newspaper, that he actually knew of the person and all that, could actually tell the full story of someone's life. And that life story looked different depending on who the author was. Wise man. Because not everybody sees all of you. You only show parts of you. So it makes sense. I didn't know that at the time. I was too young or dumb. I don't know. Young and dumb and blonde. My life can be summed up very simply in that tiny paragraph. And depending on who is writing it, I don't actually even want to know what it's going to say. Hopefully, it'd be written by someone that I didn't piss off too much right before I croaked. But let's be real though. I will be dead, so not much I can do about it. Besides, it's just an obituary, a written account of one's life. It has nothing to do with my personal legacy. So who cares? Who cares who's writing it? I know what my legacy is, right? That means I am the one in control of writing it. So what actions, contributions, and life stories do I want to pass on to my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, and so on? What have I done to stand out just enough to be remembered? Well, for starters, I have a voice that I don't particularly care about or for, but who actually loves their own voice, right? My voice has made it easier for people to recognize me, even if they haven't seen me. For example, I don't know exactly how long I have been ordering Little Caesars. Now, when I was in the New London area, I probably ordered it a hell of a lot more than now. I maybe order it once every few months, but when I was in the New London area, it was like probably once a week. Either way, there was a girl named Sarah that always answered the phone. I never said my name. I just said, can I place an order? And then I would start my order, and then she would start correcting me or adding things like, well, do you still want the bacon on it this time? Like, oh yeah, I forgot the bacon. And she knew exactly, like, okay, so is your husband going to be here at 2:30? She knew exactly. And it was all over my voice. She made it very simple. And I want to say this has been going on for I think our friendship relationship has been going on for a good 13 years or so. Because all of a sudden, it was like last month, I walk in with my husband to get our order, and I start telling my husband, like, oh, I forgot to get the garlic sauce. And Sarah goes, ah, Schultz, oh, hi. And then I met my BFF for the very first time. And we had been talking to each other for how long now? So yeah, my voice, I guess it's recognizable. Not to mention the fact that whenever I did call the school, even though I know they had the whole caller ID thing, they knew it was me just by how I talked. So yeah, my voice, it makes it a lot easier. Oh, and when I order from the bar also, but it could also be the fact that my order is always the same. That could be it too. Who knows? But either way, my voice has also made it possible to do this podcast. I have been able to tell my story in my own words to thousands of people, sharing my experiences with parenting, mental health, marriage, and everything and anything, leaving a legacy through each and every story I share. And hopefully, when my grandchildren are old enough, they too can hear my crazy stories from me, not from anyone else. Dare I say, from the horse's mouth. My voice has also made it possible for me to share my grandparents' legacies, like I had just done. My grandparents gave me amazing, and I mean amazing, examples of what love looks like and feels like. I hope that I am at least able to give at least half. Oh my gosh, I said that all wrong. I hope that I am at least half the grandparent to my grandbabies as my grandparents were to me. Because if I can do that, that alone would be the greatest legacy I could ever leave. And that's actually the only legacy I ever want to leave. You know, I always thought being labeled a big mouth was an insult. But I'm beginning to realize it's kind of more of a compliment. But also, I really don't have a big mouth. Fun fact, I was at the dentist a couple weeks ago, and he told me I had a small mouth, and I was like, can I have that in written down somewhere? Because ain't nobody gonna believe that. He laughed, thought it was funny, but I'm trying to tell him, no, seriously. Everyone else thinks I have a big mouth. So yeah, if you need that note, I'll get it, because I'm seeing him again soon. I would have to put my personality as a solid second on my version of my personal legacy. It can be a challenge walking around with the many personalities that I have. At times, I think of myself as a magician. What personality do I want to display right now? I don't know. Let me check my handy dandy top hat and see what I pull out of it today. I have the kind of personality that can get along with just about anybody and everybody, any walk of life. One could say I have never met a stranger. Shit, I can be on the phone with a complete stranger, and by the time I hang up, we are more like best friends or family. For example, I have talked about this lady in one or maybe two of my podcasts, Michelle. I think she still works there, but she's in my grandma's nursing home. And during COVID, I was never ever able to meet the lady, Michelle, but we started our friendship slash family relationship through phone when she would just call for grandma. And it started off like, hi, I'm Michelle. I'm like, hi, I'm Angie. And then I just was my normal self. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, we're sharing each other's like drama of the week. And then she would call and be like, hey, there's a couple more cases of COVID here. Oh my gosh, guess what happened? Blah, blah, blah. It was amazing. So Michelle became my family very fast. And I think another good one would be just recently. I have been trying to go and try to not take advantage, but use the programs that are out there for us. And there's one to get mileage reimbursement for going to doctor's appointments. With all the doctor's appointments we have, that mileage can definitely add up. So any little bit that I can get back, I'll gladly, please hand it to me. I was having a hard time figuring out the whole thing. So I ended up calling many times, many hours on the phone for a simple 24 cents a mile, but I wasn't going to give up. And this lady who sounded like she was like from a southern state, I don't know. I don't even know if she was from Wisconsin, but either way, she was on the phone with me for a little while, just simple chit chat, like, where are you going? What is it for? What time is the appointment? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, I can't find your address, which is a normal thing. Going through all this, and then all of a sudden she gets back on the phone after putting me on hold for a while, and she's like, what's the appointment for? I said, chemotherapy. And she's like, oh my gosh, cries, hangs up, puts me on hold. I'm like, what? Ends up coming back, I'm so sorry. And then from there, we chit-chatted. And we became best friends. I found out her mom had colon cancer and she ended up passing away from it. It was like she was a stranger. And then she wasn't a stranger. And then how many times do I call a certain place and get the same person? That doesn't happen very often. So like a week or so later, I went to call again and it was her. And I'm like, hey, hi, it's me. Remember? And all of a sudden she's like, oh my gosh, yes. And then she must have been working at home that day and was chit-chatting with her daughter while talking to me, and then goes, hang on, I'm at work. Oh crap, I'm at work. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And I felt like I was a part of her life. So yeah, I don't really meet a stranger. But that doesn't just happen to me over the phone. I don't have a filter. I should, but I don't. To be honest, I'm really not sure if I want one. I have met some very interesting people throughout my lifetime, and that wouldn't have been possible without a filter. So, yeah. So my grandson, Emmett, I was changing his diaper. And he was on our bed, and my husband was laying down, and he was just laying there, and all of a sudden he goes, Nana, Bumpa's a little fucker. I was like, what? What did you just say? And I was trying not to laugh, but it's kind of funny coming from a little body like that. And he goes, Bumpa's a little fucker. I'm like, yeah, like he is. Do you hear that, Bumpa? So I was talking to my daughter about that while we were at a restaurant. And I mean, I wasn't going to be like, I wasn't super loud. There was no one there, really. It was just the older guy that kind of looked like Sai from Duck's Dynasty or whatever. So he was kind of this cute, old, scraggly looking guy. And after I was talking, like my daughter and I were giggling and laughing about, Bumpa being a little fucker, the guy comes up and goes, "Ma'am, can I just say something?" And then he told me a story about him growing up. And then it came to a point where my daughter and I could barely eat because he kept, "I apologize, ma'am, but can I tell you something else?" It was amazing because it just showed like we made his day because he could talk about stuff and that he probably wouldn't be able to talk to with most of the customers there because he heard us talking the way we were talking. And it was great. It made, like, obviously it made my day and I'm still talking about it. So hopefully it made his. I promised I would go and visit him again. I have not, but I should. I definitely should. I call him Uncle Si, and that's what I said I was going to call him. So, Uncle Si, if you're listening to this, which you probably are not, I will see you again at Slim Chicken. Yes, I will. And then there's the at Dollar General here in like my area. When my husband was in the hospital and I went there to grab a few things, the lady goes, "Did you find everything okay?" "Yeah." How are you doing today?" And I said, "Not good." And I just broke down and I just poured my heart out. All of a sudden, she's sharing with me all of the medical crap she's going through. And I've seen this woman 100,000 times. So I wouldn't have had any clue. But it was nice to be able to just be like, "You know what? No, I'm not having a good day." And for her to be like, "You know what? It's okay. I understand." It was great. Now when I see her, she gives me hugs. I give her hugs. We're family. And I was at Papa Murphy's wearing one of my favorite shirts that my friend made. About I'm not what did it say? "I'm not a sweet girl next door. I'm a crazy bitch in my Jeep." And the young kid was he was maybe 20. It's weird saying that, kid, 20. But I have kids that are older than 20. So yeah, he was a kid. Anyway, he saw my shirt and he was like, "Oh, my grandma would love that shirt." I wasn't sure if that was an insult or not because I am a grandma, yes. I am older than him. I don't really look that old, I don't think. But he just kind of called me out by saying, "Hey, my grandma would love that shirt." Either way, I just looked at him and I was like, "Well, she should. I mean, it's true, it's an awesome shirt." And he goes, "Yeah, she's got a Jeep." I'm like, "Yeah, Jeeps are the best. Like, if you don't have a Jeep, you ain't got nothing, And the girl behind us did not look very happy. I'm sure she wasn't, but he was doing his business and I was still paying. It's not like I was taking any more time up. Either way, when the total came up, I paid for it. I looked at it and he winked at me. I walk away. He gave me his discount. All because I just was nice. And actually, I didn't even feel like I was being nice. I was just being my sarcastic self, but he loved it. And it helped me out. And I didn't do it because of that, because I didn't know he was going to do that. I did it because that's how I am. So yeah, just saying. And you make your mark by being true to who you are. We all die eventually. The goal isn't to live forever, obviously. The end goal is to create something that will live forever. If you aren't sure how to create a legacy, have no fear. Angie is here. I just came up with that. I have a few pointers for you. Number 1, live intentionally. Focus on those values that are most meaningful to you. Be mindful of your impact. Consider how your actions affect other people, how you can make a positive difference in someone else's life. If you can make them smile, make them smile. If you can't, then don't. Number 2, share your story. Sharing your experiences, whether it be good or bad, it doesn't matter. Share the lessons you have learned to future generations. Create meaningful connections, nurture those relationships with others, and build a community of support. A person's legacy isn't about the amount of money left behind. It's about the impact that was left on someone else's life. I guess I was worried about nothing when it comes down to it. Really, I wasn't. My big mouth will be hard to forget when I leave this earth. I have said way too much to be forgotten, and probably offended a few people while doing so. Again, another reason to believe having a big mouth is a compliment. Just saying. So what would your legacy be? Thank you so much for tuning in to my podcast. It truly means the world to me. If you haven't already, go and check out my Facebook page and give her a like. If you would like to support my podcast, you can click on the support the show link. Last but not least, go out there and embrace the weird and make normal feel boring. Bye.